Please fasten driver seat belt.
Dre, Big H, E340C.
Yo, que lo que? Dime, what's up? We back.
Yo,
it's been a sprinkle.
We are back, hanging and banging.
Folks, what's up? We back. It's your boy, Silverback Chronicles Podcast. It's your boy, Big H. I got my brother, Dre.
Yo, que lo que, wow.
What's good, bro?
What's good?
What's going on?
Chilling, man. Life is good.
Life is amazing.
Dope.
How you been, bro?
Great, man. How are you?
Phenomenal. I feel amazing.
I'm just happy.
Yeah.
That's it.
It's just a great time, man, in the world to just live and laugh and smile. And
shout out to everybody that's working and happy.
Absolutely. Shout out to my gorillas out there working overtime.
I hate to be so short, but we got some firepower tonight.
Amazing firepower. Triple C.
Yo.
My bro, what's good, baby?
Maintaining and chilling, bro.
All day, every day. All right, folks, we're going to get right into it. Let's get into our sponsors, Berman and Darby, Charlie Schultz, 410-796-5400. If you hurt at work or personally injured, call this man. He will take care of you with no problems at all. He's great. He's phenomenal. And shout out to my boy, Charlie Schultz.
He listens.
He does.
He's not one of those guys that are like, oh, yeah, what happened?
Yeah.
No, he's like, let's go out to lunch. Let's talk about this. Yeah.
He's real personal with you.
Yeah.
Goes a long way, I'm telling you.
Definitely does. Shout out to Charlie.
Word. Shout out to Stopbox USA. Don't forget the discount code, all caps, Silverback Podcast. Gets 20% off. All caps, Silverback Podcast. Shout out to the Atlas Brothers. Appreciate you guys. Shout out to the world. We love you. Thank you for keep tuning in. We just want to bring phenomenal podcasts to you.
I want to shout out, and I want to apologize. We apologize for having the website again sold out. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, sorry.
It's so hard to replenish these things because I don't know if you know, but shipping right now, it's not good.
You probably won't get it to 2023.
I mean, we buy everything in the USA, but it's just everything to get it from California to Maryland.
Right.
It just takes forever. So, but we working on it. Thank you, everybody, for silverbackchronicles.com.
Yeah, we appreciate you. We love you. And we grinding. We working hard. And that's about it. Listen,
yo, 101, bro.
This is 101.
101, bro.
Damn.
101, bro. Century.
We're in the hundreds now, guys.
We hit a century on them, yo.
Wow.
Shout out to everybody that's been with us since day one.
Day one.
I get all emotional and shit, but yeah. Day one, man. We love y'all. And everybody else that just, heard us from the first time. And it's like, you know what? I fuck with these dudes.
We've grown a lot from episode 1 to 2 to 101 now.
101, man. And 101 is going to be insane because we're going to give y'all some good, dope fire, from everybody, all walks of life.
What we got tonight is a heat-seeking missile.
From the Bronx.
From the Bronx.
You didn't know they shoot missiles out the Bronx? Well, now you know. They got them.
This guy that we're about to interview is simply amazing. He's a master of his craft. This guy takes phenomenal pictures. The people that he came into contact with over the years, his resume is just hands down amazing. I can't speak enough about him. I can't wait till he comes on and just show up and show off. Ladies and gentlemen, with no further ado, our guest tonight, Mr. Paul, ladies and gentlemen. I didn't want to fuck up your last name because I forgot it already.
What a gentleman. Is he a gentleman? It got real quiet. It didn't get real quiet.
Because he told me like 3 times, and I'm like, damn. So, Mr. Paul, how we doing, boss?
I'm doing well, thank you. How you doing?
I'm doing phenomenal. Thank you for coming tonight.
Pleasure.
It means everything.
This guy right here, man, I don't know.
So, sir, where did your travels begin?
Where did they begin? I didn't leave the Bronx till I was 19, and the first travel was to Louisiana.
Wow.
Yeah, I did a story on cockfighting.
How about that?
Yeah, I was an assistant doing lighting and stuff.
So where did this all begin? Have you always wanted to go into the photography business? What was life like growing up in the good old Bronx, New York, with the New Yorkers?
It was fun. I was the youngest of 4. I had three older sisters.
Awesome.
They kept me busy.
Right.
So, like, when was the first time you, like, picked up a camera? Like,
my oldest sister bought me my first camera, Minolta. When I graduated 8th grade.
Are you Italian?
Yeah.
Love it.
Did you get the camera from Circus City? Remember Circus City?
Crazy Eddie on Florida Road.
Crazy Eddie.
I like the way he said Minolta.
Yeah. When he said Minolta, I
Minolta.
used to stare at this camera. I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
A different one, though.
A long time ago, yeah.
So how was that like? Like, did the passion just develop just by taking pictures of anything? Did that pique your interest?
I don't know. I had a godfather who I never met who was a photographer, and I think that intrigued me. And when I was 8, I was like, I want to be a photographer, and everybody in my family was like, well, you're not going to make any money doing that.
What was it that intrigued you? Was like you saw some of his work?
Well, okay. So my godfather was Ken Regan. He was pretty famous in the photography world. Never met the guy.
Ken Regan.
Even when I was baptized, he wasn't there.
Really?
So he was my godfather, but in name, I guess.
Wow.
And I was going to school for photography, and they hit me with a big supply bill. So I was like, take some time off.
Right.
I took some time off, and I looked around and said, if I can get a job. So I wound up in the studio, and I'm talking to the photographer, and I'm like, yeah, things are kind of familiar. I don't know, this is weird, you know? And I'm interviewing with the guy and everything. It turns out that he's renting the studio from my godfather.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
How about that?
And you didn't know?
No.
Wow.
Yeah, it was, but it was well received and everything. It wasn't like, get him out of here or anything like that. He was just a fellow who liked his private life. So he didn't like talk about, but he was so busy, he even missed the baptism. So it was funny. And I worked for that guy just in the studio for about a year. And then I did some music videos, and then I wound up working with my godfather for maybe 2.5 years, maybe. First show I ever worked on was Silence of the Lambs.
Really?
And I was with him. That was my introduction to like movie sets and stuff. So I was pretty cool.
The movie Silence of the Lambs. That's a classic.
We did all the
was that shot in Memphis?
Philadelphia. And we did a bunch of it was the detectives board with all the crime scene photos. We did those crime scene photos. I did the lighting on them. And the cool story with that was we did so Wild Bill, the character, would take body parts, skins and stuff. So he took the skin off the back of this one girl, and he left her like in the shallows of the water's edge. So we go up to off the Palisades Parkway in Jersey. This one fellow lived. We're going to do the photo shoot right there on his property. And the girl's in makeup. We're setting up down by the water, and she walks down in this whole body armor thing and can't see, all part of the costume. And they put her in this cold water, and there's all these voices, and she's like half naked, and we're taking pictures, and she was a real trooper. And the whole shoot ends, and we're in the house like relaxing and packing, and she's getting makeup taken off. And she walks outside and we go to introduce ourselves. And she's like, no, just talk. And we all talk. And she's like, oh, you were the photographer. And she opens her eyes and she's like, pleasure to meet you. And somebody else talks and she was like, oh, you kept running around doing everything. Oh, you must be the assistant. And it was just phenomenal. Wow. It was pretty wild. Yeah.
Wow.
Very professional, but yeah. Couldn't see anything, just the whole trust. And it wasn't like 5 feet from the guy's back of his house. It was like a walk to the water's edge. It was interesting.
That's wild. So she knew you by our voices.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy.
Absolutely. Wow. So Silence of the Lambs, that's where it all started, huh?
On a movie set, the first actor I ever worked with was Eli Wallach. The Good, the Bad, the Ugly.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. How was that?
His story was, he was talking to the director for The Good, the Bad, the Ugly. And he said, you have no holster. You're going to wear your gun around your neck. And he has this lanyard and the guy puts it on and he goes, it's going to hang like this. And you're going to run. And the gun's bouncing. And you're going to do this. And the gun's bouncing. And it hits him right in the groin. And the guy looks at Eli and goes, get him a holster.
He just heard the babies a little bit.
I'd say, get this guy a holster.
Get him a holster.
I was like, this is cool. Yeah, that was my, I was all wide-eyed. I was like, I just turned 19.
Wow. Really?
And it was this one photographer. It was the studio guy that I was working with. And he did a lot of computers and stuff like that, all studio in-house stuff, tabletop. I don't know how he got that gig, but he was really good with lighting, and he's the one who like gave me the secrets of how to look at light. And once you could see it, it's easy to manipulate it.
Really?
Yeah. And he gave me those little pointers in the beginning, and I just remember it was like a glass block wall, and we like filtered all this colorful light through it, and we had Eli in the front of it. And I was like, wow, that's really cool. Because as you're looking at it, it just looked like white light. But every time the flashes went off, all the lights changed because we had gels in front of all the lights, and it's all strobes. And
wow.
All right, this is cool.
It completely changes the look.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So that's when you knew you was hooked.
That was the beginning of it all, I think. Yeah. Yeah.
Big time superstars in movies. How was that?
Yeah, all right.
You got any juicy stories?
I forget the juicy stories, I think. You know, it's just some stuff you're just not supposed to be looking at or seeing. So I kind of like
keep it moving.
Yeah. Yeah. I try to remember me, and that's hard enough.
I feel you.
Yeah.
I know this job is taking you all over the world.
Yeah, I've done some traveling. Like I said, never left the Bronx before I was 18, and didn't stop for probably 10 years. I was on a world tour with Bruce Springsteen and Peter Gabriel.
What?
For Reebok, it was Amnesty International.
How was that?
That was amazing. You think you'll never forget because it's such a changing experience, life-changing experience. And my mother looked at me and she said, keep a journal. And I was like, is that you?
This fucking guy.
That's so weird. Sure, I've never.
Put some oil on that door. That's great.
Yo, I'm 40, bro. I guess these are the things that happen when you turn 40. I don't know. That was so random.
And he's looking like, who the hell did it?
Yeah, I was like, these headphones are good.
How about that?
Told me to fix the sound quality, bro.
I'm sorry, I don't know. So I'm sorry. What did she say?
Where was I?
Mom said create a journal.
Oh, yeah, right. So I had other people saying just keep flight times.
Okay.
And it's wild. You do a thing like that. I was in the air for weeks when you look at the time travel, just every time you took off. But she said, keep a journal. And so I've been doing it 30 years. And the past probably 5 years, the journal's gotten spotty. Like 26 years of solid writing. And in the beginning, it was all Polaroids because that's how you would check your light.
Right.
So I would have a Polaroid of the scene, of me in the scene, and then like a note of who it was. It was Yeah, so that's nice to look back on. And hopefully if anybody else reads it, I'm dead. Because I try not to talk too much shit about anybody. I try to keep it all nice and light.
Yeah.
But once or twice you're in that mood.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, something happened
I'll
here.
be gone by the time anybody else reads it. So.
How big is this damn journal? Shit. Is it like 3 books?
No, it's 30 years. In those, you ever see those red journal books that you buy?
Yeah, but I mean, I know you.
Right.
So you only have
every single day.
Yeah, but I'm sure you have like 5 of them, right? It's 30 years it's worth.
No, 30 years.
You have 30 years worth of those notebooks. How many notebooks are there?
One a year I buy a journal.
Oh, one a year. Okay, got it.
Wow.
So you have 30 books.
Right.
30 journal.
Right.
Yeah.
So it used to be before all this technology and smartphones.
That's so dope.
You would have a book you'd write down. Oh, I got to be in Memphis on Thursday at 3:00. So you'd have a journal. So I was like, I might as well write notes in the journal too. And
Yeah, that's so dope.
Like a diary type thing.
Wow.
Yeah. So birth of the kids written in there. And now it's no photos, so it gets a little boring, but it was nice when you looked at photos and
It brings you back to that moment.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, like you'll have a picture of me with remember Alien, Queenie, and Sigourney Weaver.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we photographed Queenie and Sigourney for Time, for a cover of Time magazine. And so there's a photo of me with Queenie, because I'm the Polaroid tester. And then an hour later, there's Sigourney Weaver, in my spot.
How about that?
I was there first.
Right.
Yo, was she like really that beautiful in person?
She walked in the room and went into hair and makeup, and it was like 15 minutes later, and I was like, and they were like, I was like, that was her? They were like, yeah. Well, all right. Didn't seem like much,
So were you on the set with the alien costume and all that?
It wasn't a costume. That thing was tremendous.
Really?
Oh yeah, it had hydraulics and stuff, so the jaw would shoot out. It was massive. That guy. So this kind of artsy guy's there, and he's responsible for Queenie and hooking her up and making her look all scary and everything. Mm-hmm. And he goes, I need a case of condoms. I was like, fucking show off. I mean, what's he got? Got them lined up? What the hell? So they bring him a case of condoms and like all this shit. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? It turns out that all this stretching jaw stuff is all condoms that he ripped open and glued so it would have jaw muscles. But I'm thinking,
it looks like saliva.
Right.
Yeah.
Just having a big ass brothel after, huh?
The poor guy's working and you're like,
right, this guy fucking my mouth plowing everybody, huh?
Oh, look at show off. The dude's over here like sweating, adding mad condoms to like the monster
like,
mouth.
Get me Magnum. No, he was like, get me 100,
So,
I need that now.
Nice.
So that's what that was? What it makes it look all stringy?
Mm-hmm. So as that thing like opened its jaw, that's what all that rubbery stuff was.
Condoms.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It might have been totally different in the movie, but for the photos, to make it look like all that, that's
wow.
Yeah.
Damn.
That movie was...
She was very cool, though. She was really into, like, the assistants, the working guy. That's who she, like, afterwards, we had Heineken, she hung out. But, so she walked past me, and I was like, she walked out, and her face, that was Sigourney. The body was still, But as soon as she knew how to twist.
Yeah, her sachet was amazing.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, it was like,
wow. Yeah.
Yeah, it was really transformed. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So that was her gift, pretty much.
She knew how to work it.
She knew how to pose.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of practice, I guess. But yeah, she was good. She was really friendly.
That's awesome.
Alien, huh?
Alien. What else?
Shit, you ever did like Commando?
What do you mean, like run around without underwear? Where are we going?
No, like the movie.
None. Yeah.
Okay.
I did Generation Kill with Nina and David and all them guys in South Africa.
That was a dope one.
Yeah, it's like a army type movie or something.
No, that movie was dope. I didn't even know that they did that to the, and I'm like, that movie was dope. I mean, the show was a show. You remember it?
Generation Kill. It came out a couple years ago.
When they were talking like, we're 5 clicks out.
Yeah.
It was like real in depth. It was well done.
Yeah,
extremely well done.
Yeah.
Like, stay icy, remember? Yeah, frosty. I'm sorry. Stay frosty.
Stay frosty.
And then that translated into like cop term too.
Oh, really?
A lot of cops would be like, yo, stay frosty. Yeah, it was dope.
They show that to the Marines and everything first. Their reactions to hope the lingo's right.
Right.
And they're real receptive to it. Like they'll actually change stuff if it doesn't make sense or they put up a good enough argument. I was like, and that's why that show was so authentic and everything.
That's awesome.
Super well done.
Yeah. They go the extra mile, those guys.
Yeah. So you did music, you did movies. Did you do sports?
I did Sports Illustrated for 10 years.
How was that?
That was a lot of traveling.
Must have been fun.
Yeah, we landed in Scotland, and the photographer I'm working with is like, "You got any money on you?" I was like, he was like, I left. You know, I only have like $100. I was like, I got nothing, dude. and it's before ATMs and everything. It's like you got to go to the front desk with a blank check at these days, you know. And he's looking at me, I'm looking at him. I'm like, you got me, dude. I didn't realize you were coming here. We were in Scotland.
To do what? Like some
St. Andrews, the famous golf course. I had no idea where I was. When I get home, I'm like, my father-in-law was totally into golf, and I'm like, hey, you know, I got you this shot glass, and he was like, you were at St. Andrews? Are you kidding me? You know what that is? It's like, you know, this prestige 100 years old golf course. And one of the holes is like you actually launch the ball onto a little peninsula that's way out. It's jetty. I mean, it's cliffs. Beautiful.
Wow.
I had no idea where I was. I had nothing today. It was Tuesday. Yeah. And at one point, I knew how to get from every airport to a major baseball stadium, and that was it. I knew nothing else of the town, the city, nothing.
Wow.
Because we were just flying in, doing the game, leaving. It was just constant.
Really?
Yeah.
So you've been all over the country?
Yeah.
For like baseball, football, basketball?
My friends are like, oh my God, you're doing the Super Bowl. I'm like, oh yeah, great.
Yeah.
Like, well, I was like, it's crazy. You don't see anything. It's just a blur. I mean, you usually got your head in the back of the camera, and if you can see it as far as photography goes, you don't have it because you're getting the curtains up. So if you're looking at that play and you're like, wow, look at the expression on his face, you're not shooting. You're missing everything. So it's, you know, and
that's a different game.
These quarters, and you know, a lot of European photographers were already like
elbowing you in. Yeah.
Elbow and,
they play a little dirty?
Yeah.
Really?
It's all about the shot, huh?
It would be great. You'd walk in and you'd see like the 5'11", 6-foot guy, and they're there early in the front.
Right.
Like, man, what time did that guy get here? And as soon as the press junket would start, the freaking guy would break out a ladder. You're like, are you kidding me? You're already 6'2", and he'd get all up. Like,
wait, he carried a ladder?
Oh, yeah. We'd all have those little stools, like a little two-step ladder that you use in the kitchen type thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do they push people off of it? Like, you know, like, oh my God, that was my mistake.
Oh, excuse me.
It would be more like an excuse me type moment.
Right.
You know?
But you know it was dirty.
Yeah, but that wasn't something that was often done. They would do more things like, as you were hanging out on the sidelines waiting for the thing to start, somebody would tie your shoelace to like the chair.
No way.
Oh shit, yeah.
What?
Oh yeah. And you get up to get the thing and the whole row of chairs would come with you. Yeah, it would be like practical jokes like that to physically just like take you off the ladder.
Right.
No. But you'd have to look around before you got up to make sure like you weren't booby trapped.
Everything was in order.
Crazy.
Wow.
It was stuff like that. It was, and then, you know, somebody would get you back. And I mean, you might miss your shot, which, you know, people back home might frown upon, you know, but it was a tit for tat type thing. Nobody got hurt.
Boy, that's funny.
That's hysterical, the little games. So, like, what's the worst you ever seen? Like out of the practice,
the guy getting up in the whole row of me personally seeing, yeah.
How about like what's the funniest one you've seen? Like, wow, that was good.
Well, I know like when buddies of mine were doing the Olympics, that was a big thing. And one guy they actually tied to the banister, you know, the bleachers, and he missed like the whole like 100-meter free stroke or whatever it was. And
how did he tie him?
you're just all caught up in it. There's gear everywhere. You know, you got fanny packs. You can't feel anything. So
really,
yeah. Or they tie you to your assistant or something, and you go two different ways, and yeah,
that's hysterical.
Yeah, that sucks.
Could you imagine somebody tying you like right now?
It kills your equilibrium.
It's like, what is going on?
Right.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the shot you were waiting for is like,
oh yeah,
missed
because
seconds.
You would be doing like a gymnastics event, and then 2 buildings over, something else would start. So you'd grab everything and go to run, and you take no bleacher with you, and you're like, oh shit, go back, untie.
Oh my goodness,
it slows you down.
Well, the whole building's empty. Now you got a line to deal with.
Oh, wow.
Usually we're trying to be the first ones out of the building to get to the next building.
It just it takes away from that perfect angle.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
getting set up.
You can't get there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's what the Europeans did. Like, what did the Americans like?
It was everybody.
Oh, that was universal.
Yeah. Yeah. I was saying the European guys those were the guys who get there early and be in the front and be 6 foot and not need a ladder.
Right.
And then as everybody came in to do the press, they'd be on a ladder and you're
elevated.
Yeah. And so now you can't see anything. All you got's the guy's ass in your face now instead of just the shoulders. So, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's funny.
So I was doing Barney and Barbie magazine, and Barbie was doing something at like FAO Schwartz in Manhattan. And I brought my friend with me so I ride a motorcycle. My friend was a biker, tattoos, long hair. And I was like, dude, you just look nasty at everybody. He was like, okay. And somebody with the ladder. And I was like, you don't want to get on that. He was like, why? I was like, oh, he was talking about that. You don't want to get on that. And there's my friend just standing there like this. I never got on the ladder.
He didn't get on the ladder.
It was great. Yeah. They were like, you actually brought a bodyguard with you? I was like, just a friend.
Right. He's just hanging out.
And he's a really nice guy. I mean, it was like a, really, really nice, like he just had this persona and that was enough.
Yeah. But he definitely passed the look test, huh?
Yeah, it was funny stuff. Yeah.
So when you did the movies, did you actually like watch them when they came out?
I'm terrible at that now.
Wow.
It was like a while before I saw Silence of the Lambs. Even like The Wire, I worked on The Wire. That was like my first episodic. That's what got me in the union and everything. And we didn't watch that. I think I had an operation done on my knee, and I was laid up, and I got CDs. They sent me seasons. And I watched the whole thing, and I was like, "Oh my God, this is amazing." But yeah, usually what I work, you saw. I read the script. I know what's going on. I'm on them with my camera. So part of me feels like I've already seen it.
Right.
Probably seen it better than any TV.
Definitely.
Because I'm seeing it through my vision. Because I'm supposed to get the angle of the camera. And I get that. But they do that like 4 or 5 times. So I have some time to run around. I'm always trying to find something. And I just think that I don't want to ruin that. That's like I have those images in my head, and then I sit down watching in front of the TV, and it kind of gets blurred. So like somebody will talk about a scene, and I have it in my head what I shot. Yeah. HBO would call me up and say, looking for pictures of Dre. We can't find any. And I was like, really? Give me like 5 minutes. And I send them photos. I was like, I just remember the day that I photographed the guy.
Wow.
And it's like 70 days later. Like this shows 76 days that we're working on now. And I could pinpoint days. Just once I shoot you, I pretty much got you.
It's like locked in.
Yeah. If I just talk to you, you walk my son's grave. Because the neighbor was introducing me to somebody, and the guy's name was like Bejmir or something. I called this poor guy Bobby, Pete, every name in the book, huh? My son, I look at my son, he's just sitting there like nodding his head. He's like, Dad, Bejmir. I was like, Bejmir. Yeah. He's like,
but if you shoot the camera on the person,
I pretty much got locked in. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I guess that's how your brain works. That's crazy.
Yeah, I would love to see mine. I'm curious now.
That'll be later.
Yeah. All right, so
it's too early because we can't talk about that.
2 years ago?
It's early because we can't talk about that stuff.
That's a blur.
All right, so Phil Collins or George Michaels?
Wow, my sister was a big George Michael fan. So my question is, why? Like, where am I going with Phil Collins or George Michaels?
What do you like the best?
I think I'm a more Phil Collins, Genesis type of guy.
Me too.
Yeah, all the way.
Yeah.
Hands down.
Absolutely.
I mean, the album is insane.
My sister was in love with George Michael, and I was doing music videos, and he was, I don't know if it was like the Breathe video. We were working on some video, and he showed up, and he was gay. But I don't know if it wasn't mainstream, but my sister did not want to hear that. You know?
At all.
Yeah. And I was like, yo, he's gay.
Because, I'm every woman's father figure. Phenomenal song, man. I mean, that's probably what did it, They gave him that sex symbol. He had it.
Oh, yeah.
Kidding me?
Oh, definitely.
Especially with Wham?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Definitely. The
guy was selling out stadiums. Not to say Phil Collins wasn't, but no. I mean,
No.
Every woman loved George Michaels.
Mm-hmm. Very true.
I mean, yeah, he was a good-looking guy.
He had it.
I mean,
put the shades on. Right. It was over.
Yeah, I mean,
it was over.
The hair and shit,
A perfect beard.
Right. Right. What?
He had benzene before, like, it was even a thing.
Before it wasn't invented, bro.
Airbrush, all that.
Everything, right.
It was,
all that.
Yeah.
Slick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Phil Collins was a different beast, though.
Yeah, his range is crazy.
Classic.
Yeah, I worked with Phil Collins, but it was something really brief. I barely even remember it. I remember he was in costume. Pretty funny guy. I was an assistant doing something.
You ever did like metal music?
My first video was Run DMC Aerosmith.
No way!
That was your first video?
Shut up!
Wow.
What do you mean your first? Like you shot the video?
No. I was in that studio. I was studio manager.
This way.
It was really cool because he saw I was bored. I was just in a studio. And he was like, you should look into this and look into this. And he mentioned like music videos and productions and stuff. I put my name out there. And I get this phone call one day, and they're like, "You available? We need extra bodies in Jersey. We have a scene that's getting a little bit out of control." And I was like, I look at the guy, I'm like, "Oh,
yeah,
let's call him back." He was like, "Go." I was like, "Serious?" He goes, "Yeah, go." So I was like, "Okay." So I go out to Jersey, and it's Aerosmith. Walk This Way, Run DMC, and they put an ad out on like the local radio station that they needed background and stuff. And it just was overwhelming the amount of people that showed up. And then when they heard the music, they thought it was a rock concert going on in there. So everybody was bum rushing the doors. And then after the song's over, who's ripping the seats apart and everything. So I go in and I'm working with them. And it was organization, and they were wrapping up the video. So we saw, a few hours of them just doing the last ends of it and stuff. And then it was cleaning up the place and getting all the gear out. And they needed a truck moved. And I had my GTO back then.
Wow.
It's a 4-speed. And they were like, "Anybody know how to drive stick?" And first it was, "Anybody can drive this truck." And nobody said anything. But one person went up and it'd say, "Oh, it's a stick." And then it was like, "Anybody can drive stick." So I was like, "I can drive stick." So I went up back in this truck all the way backwards into this loading dock. And the guy looked at me and was like, "You work for me now." And I was like,
"Wow."
And I went from that to driving trucks for this place, RD Sparks, that did, they were like a light rental place. And so they did a lot of music videos. So I was involved with that. And I did one movie with them called Prime Evil. It was like a soft porn horror flick.
Oh, nice.
And that was
a lot of action, huh?
That was interesting. The lighting was, because it was like real low budget. So they had like old lighting, and they had this old arc light. It was these like carbon rods that they would literally a positive and a negative, and they would arc them, and it was lightning. And that was cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So I started to see the light literally, and I would go back to the studio guy and work with photography, and I started mixing those two lights. And I got really good at available light, strobes, balancing out so it doesn't look like a strobe. So I started working for Sports Illustrated, and the fellow I was working with wanted to do the swimsuit. So for 2 years, we hired our own models, and we did our own photography, and then you would pitch that to Sports Illustrated. But they were all into like European names back then.
Wow.
This was just some really good photographer from Wisconsin with a regular American name, you know, but really talented. And we were lighting these girls. I mean, I was in the water up to my chest with lights and batteries, lighting them like on a surfboard. And I was the pioneer of that.
Wow.
Before that, wow. Bounce light and everything. And I was like, the people that I was with, I was that pioneer. Maybe there was somebody else doing it also. I wasn't aware of it. So as far as I'm concerned, I invented that shit.
Yeah, because you didn't see it before.
I saw it, you know. Yeah. And the whole thing was trying to get it just balanced enough where it was enough to brighten your eyes, but not overpower it where you were like, oh, that's a studio. So
that's crazy.
It was cool. We had this one girl on a limb, and we were like in the woods in Florida. How many woods there are, but
the Everglades,
I guess. So she's on this branch. She's laying there, and I'm trying to light her, and I'm on this branch, and I'm balancing. And I'm like this, and I was like, you know, all those years of surf lessons really paid off. And she checks me out. She goes, "You never surfed." And I was like, "You're right, but thanks." You know. Okay. I guess the belly was hanging over the shorts.
Just trying to make you look good. Come on, honey.
Yeah,
that's funny. I didn't even think about that. I forgot that Sports Illustrated had like a whole swimsuit.
Oh yeah.
So like you was there for that. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. We never got it though.
What do you mean?
We pitched it to them twice, and like I said, they were into the European name. I think the first American who got that was Walter Yost.
That was the photographer?
The photographer's name, yeah. I think he was like I think before that, if you look back, they're probably all European name, European photographers doing the swimsuits.
Got it. So you was just mostly shooting like sports at that time?
Yeah.
Like actual athletes?
Yeah.
Wow.
Mostly action. And then we would do like, so I did the lighting. So anytime, so I would go and we would shoot the game, and not too much there to do, but before the game, like for a while there, we were doing baseball cards. And we were doing the high-end studio version of the baseball cards. So everybody was lit.
The upper decker.
That was them. You know, right? Upper deck.
Upper deck.
Upper deck, yeah.
We used to buy them joints.
Yeah. So yeah, I started doing all the lighting for that stuff. And I mean, you can't take a bad picture of an athlete. You can crawl around on the floor and shoot up their nose, and you look at it and you're like, God,
Well, why is that? Why is that?
Just no body fat, nothing. Just lean, mean.
Just catch them in their natural state.
Just perfect, yeah.
Just perfect.
And it's so I did all of that, and you're working with all these athletes, and you're like, this is great, it was great, and then you're like, oh wow. So I was always in the family of Time Warner, Time Life, Time AOL, which is Sports Illustrated, HBO.
Mm-hmm.
So I went from Sports Illustrated to HBO. And when I was doing the Sports Illustrated thing, it's beautiful people. You can't take a bad angle. And you're like, oh, well, if you get into this end of photography, all these movie stars and everything, they're beautiful people too. They don't look at themselves like sports people do.
Mm.
Hollywood, you can have a beautiful photo, and if they didn't have a good day and there's a blemish, they see it.
Wow.
So that's not a good photo.
At all.
Yeah. And you realize, wow, it was easy photographing sports athletes and stuff.
Because they're jocks. They're like, yeah, whatever, bro.
Yeah, get it done.
I got to go to practice.
Yeah.
Whereas these people.
This is hair, makeup for 2 hours. And they know light. I mean, they're
pretty hip to it.
Yeah. I mean, I've been on sets where they'll put a light like on the desk, and you see like this beautiful actress like look around, and you know she's saying to herself, all right, they're going to put another light up. And they don't. And then I need a photo. So I come in and I'm like trying to stay out of your eye line, and I'm not getting my shot. So if I have to, I'll walk in and say, you mind just giving me your eyes right here? And she looked at me and she goes, with this light? I was like, I kind of need the scene. And she was like, okay. And she gave me a look like you were never going to use it either way.
Right.
She gave me that second, you know, it was, but it was great. You just saw her looking around for another light. And it's like, oh, this is it. Yeah.
She knew already, like.
Yeah. Yeah. They know how they look and they're very, very.
They know what they're looking for.
Yeah.
Who
has
was
a
the
good side? Who has a bad side?
Right.
Yeah.
Who's the most famous? Like, because you said you were at Sports Illustrated, so Mickey Mantle or like was it Michael Jackson, Whitney Houston, any of those things?
I worked with Whitney.
God bless her soul. How was that?
Wish you rest in peace.
Rest in peace.
It was a
Beautiful
music
voice.
video. I was doing the truck thing with R.D. Sparks, so I wasn't on stage a lot. So I wasn't really there, but I did work on a music video. I think I went into the bathroom right after she came out, so I was that close.
Yeah, you was there. You was there. Right.
But I worked with a lot of sports people like Nolan Ryan and Alton Fisk.
Wow.
All those guys like in the 80s.
That's old school, man.
Yeah, they were badass.
Yeah.
Nolan Ryan Express.
Yeah, Nolan Ryan was.
He was like one of the first dudes. What was it? His discipline, and he could throw like 100.
Yeah.
That's what it was. He was
on
like
the Express.
Yeah, it was like a straight.
And he said he would never let a coach change his pitch, because he said every coach, when they meet you, they want to change something to say, I made him that much better. He said, but everybody changing it, he goes, that's not the way your arm works.
Right.
And fastball is straight on. Once you start trying to twist it and dive it and slow it down and spin it, then you're really jacking up your arm.
Right.
So he was like, I throw fast, and
that's it.
And it worked for him, and he had a major career out of it. But we actually had to photograph him, and we were running behind, and I drive. And I'm on this guy's bumper in Texas. I'm like pushing him. And the fellow that I'm driving around with is, like just relaxing. And he goes, you know what you're doing, right? I go, yeah, I got this. He goes, okay. And I'm on this guy's bumper. And all of a sudden lights go on. Turns out he's a state trooper. And I don't realize there's the hats in the back of the car in the back deck, which is a state trooper hat and a police hat. I'm not seeing that. All I see is this car in my way, and I want him out of the way. And I'm on his bumper. Throws the lights on, pulls us over. Oh, shit. My brother-in-law was a cop, a lieutenant, so he gave me like badges and stuff and cards. And so I quickly take all the stuff out. I'm like, really sorry. I said, we're on the job, and I realize what I'm saying because that's your term, we're on the job.
It's good old police jargon. Good shit.
And I catch myself, and I was like, with Sports Illustrated, we're photographing Nolan Ryan. And he like looks at me, and he goes to the car, and he goes back, and he's like, what are you doing? And I said, we're supposed to meet Nolan Ryan, photograph Nolan Ryan. He goes, oh. He goes, listen, he goes, you're coming off like you're trying to impersonate a cop. He goes, I'd advise you not to be so quick with the badge and be careful with the on the job. I said, no, I know exactly what you're talking about. As I said it, I knew it was wrong. He goes, all right, don't lose me.
Wait, what?
Don't lose me.
And he gets in that car and he takes us right to Nolan Ryan.
What?
Yeah,
moving.
Great. Yeah. Yep.
So he like escorted you.
Yeah.
That's
Because everybody
really cool.
knows him.
Yeah.
Right.
He was like, okay, let's go. So maybe he was pulling my bluff. Want
to see if he was really you.
Yeah.
Definitely photographing online.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so.
You know what? That's probably where they came out with Major League. Vaughn, Wild Thing. He threw a 100-mile-an-hour ball.
Yeah.
That came out in the 80s.
Yeah.
Not 90s. It came out the
Early 90s, yeah.
Yeah. That was a Charlie Sheen.
Yeah.
Charlie Sheen and Pedro Serrano. You got no
Absolutely.
Right. That was my favorite. You got no ball.
You got no bars.
After that, he became a monster.
Animal.
Started hitting home runs.
Mm-hmm. With his little juju.
What's the easiest to shoot? Like basketball, baseball, football, hockey, soccer?
That stuff's insane.
All of it?
Yeah. I don't know how hockey must probably be. You ever try to watch hockey? Try to find that.
Oh, it's so fast.
Yeah. You can't. Their change of direction is like crazy.
And I feel bad for the announcers. By the time you get the name off, the puck's gone through 3 different people already.
Right.
He got it. He got it. He got it.
Yeah.
That's what they say.
The short guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say hockey's probably the hardest. Yeah, and all of that.
Do you find yourself always learning new techniques? Or how is it now? Is it like straightforward, boom, I got this. Like I know what I'm looking for, bang, I'm done.
It's almost like muscle memory, I'd say.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're doing something. It's funny because I guess when I was coming up in the ranks, like the photographer would like, 5'6", like you'd get out the meter and everything. 5'6". And now I walk on set, I'm like 6'3".
What is that? 6'3".
F stops, just numbers.
The distance?
Exposure. No, exposure.
Oh, exposure.
Man, I worked with people in Africa. They were focus pullers. And that guy would stand there.
You said focus pullers?
Yeah.
What's that?
So a focus puller in the movie industry is the fella who is in sync with the camera operator. The camera operator, all he's doing is leveling the camera and finding the frame. That's it.
Right.
Keeping everybody square and centered. And his buddy is mind reading. I don't know how they do it, but
it's insane.
Yeah. And they are focusing that thing. So if you're talking to me and the camera's there, as I talk, it's focused on me. As you go to breathe to talk, it just slowly drifts to you. And once you're aware of it, it's a dance. It's
beautiful.
Beautiful, yeah.
Wow. Because they're not like near each other.
Yeah.
You got to be in sync.
It's like imagine someone right now that's by the door and like you're talking and he's just trying to like.
And you're moving.
Anticipate.
You're moving and I'm moving.
Right. He's anticipating your moves.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's insane.
It's beyond me.
And when I started, the focus puller was attached to the front of that lens. Some of them they called it a whip. It was like a 20-inch cable with a knob on the end. And as the guy Phil would be running around, his assistant would be latched to him, focusing. Now they're in a room with a monitor and they're pulling the wheel back there.
No.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah.
So what happened? You was in Africa and what happened?
Oh, and these 2 guys, excuse me, he gave it to me.
No, I passed it over.
He gave me the book and the author and everything. And it was a whole science of the way you stood and looked off the bottom of your eyes straight out on an angle. And from that point, you can measure. And they have those Hilti measuring devices, the digital things. They aim at the wall and it says 12 feet.
Oh, yeah.
So his assistant would stand there and he'd go, front of the car, 103. And the kid would take out the thing. 102's 10. So they all go,
wow.
And they would do it.
It's like it's like in their own world.
Yeah.
They play these games of like who's sharp, who's sleeping.
Yeah.
Like who's
that guy.
That's a Silverback move we just had.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
He would do so in South Africa, they got these beautiful roads and they do a lot of the Audi car commercials.
Mm-hmm.
I forget the name of the hill and everything, but that was his claim to fame is there's no marks, no nothing. You're driving 100 and whatever and he's on you. Just focused. Dead on.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's insane.
He was intense. That guy. Yeah. That was a talent. I've never met anybody who could do that after that guy.
Let me ask you a question. What do you think about the camera on these phones now?
Yeah. Well, I'm done. My job's done. Yeah.
What?
As far as a photographer on set with all the advancements of all this digital and the movie cameras, what they capture, it's amazing how much information's on that. And they call them a screen grab. And they freeze frame it. And it's perfect. So you really need me getting the same photo? So, I mean, I always said once a third grader is looking at a computer, not opening a book, there's no more photography.
Wow.
Because you don't need that clarity. And like magazine work, that was talent. I mean, we were shooting chromes. If you were half a stop overexposed, you threw that away. You didn't go into the lab and try to fix anything. It was the reds were pink, the blues were purple. It was garbage. You threw it away. Now got like 5 stops you could be over, and they could dial that back in. And it's amazing what they can have. They could save a piece of film nowadays.
Wow.
Yeah. Compared to, so a slide piece of film would last 100 years and never change and be beautiful. Like people ask me for something that I shot 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Like I mentioned my car, and I reconnected with old friends, and they were like, "Oh my God, remember when we started rebuilding the GTR?" I was like, "Yeah," and I quickly scanned a piece of film and Facebooked it. And they were like, "Oh my God," and it was nothing. I just walked over to the drawer, and that film is there. 30 years, looks exactly the way it did 30 years ago. Now it's all digital.
Wow.
Now you got to find it. You got hard drives that lock up and you can't get to them. You got CDs that don't work anymore.
Wow.
Piece of film. You open that drawer, piece of film still there.
Wow.
The old school aspect of it.
Forever. Yeah.
You still having fun with this?
Yeah.
How many more years you got left in this?
I joke about it that I'm done. And then I go home and I'm like, ow, I can't walk away from this yet.
Right.
That's how we feel about police work sometimes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Can't walk away.
Just the camaraderie, the conversation. I mean, there's many intelligent, talented people.
You have your own language.
Yeah, pretty.
You guys have your own language.
Yeah.
Like we have our own language. They have their own complete language.
Sure.
And you'll be like, what?
And the conversations are new and different every day.
Mm-hmm.
And if you get tired, not bored, but tired, there's somebody next 10 feet over that has a whole nother story. And
Right.
my brother-in-law was a transit cop. And he said, every time those doors open, there was another show. Another personality walked in.
Coming on in.
And he was like, and you have to accept that.
It's
Right.
true.
And I was like,
It's a good way to look at it. Yeah.
So,
That is true.
yeah.
That's pretty cool. That's a great way to look at it from his lens. Cause yeah, he's a transit cop. So he sees it every day.
Yeah. And you could sit there and be like, oh my God, here we go again.
I got to deal with this shit for 3 stops.
Or just start laughing.
Right. Have fun with it.
Just have fun with it.
And,
That's
you
it.
know, and he would, and my son's always looking at me, he's like, talk to everybody? I'm like, why not? You walk, if I'm in front of my house and you walk past, I'm saying hello.
Yeah.
It's like, nobody's getting hurt.
Because you never know when that conversation is going to lead you down.
And it usually does. And he's like,
And you're like, what?
you gotta go.
Gotta go.
Yeah.
You'd be like, yo, the neighbor, you know? Yeah. It's crazy.
So 30 years of journals. Are you going to turn that into a book one day?
I don't know.
Or a movie.
You know, there's probably excerpts in it that are really, really cool that somebody could embellish on and make into something.
Yeah.
But as a whole, I was pretty boring. It's all right.
I mean, it's a phenomenal body of work.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, it's funny because, I remember somebody talking and they were like, oh, I can't believe you work with this and blah, 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 and this and that. And the guy looked at him and said, it was Tuesday. I'm at that point. It's Tuesday.
Like it's normal.
Yeah. And like,
that's what I do.
It was always like, you never made eye contact with a celebrity. You never asked them for an autograph. And I see a lot of people nowadays do that. And I'm like, wow, I would never do that. Like,
no.
I have like 10 autographs, you know, like 15 out of all my years. And it's autographs that people were like, no, here. I never said, oh, could you? Like I worked with Gary Carter for a Volvo ad. And that guy, he had 2 kids. And he had like, the front of the house had like 8 steps. And instead of railings, they had like cement walls. Most people would put like plants on them and stuff. Mm-hmm. They didn't have anything. But his kid was playing on that cement. And he was jumping from one to the other. And Gary was talking to us. And his kid's playing on the railing here. And he's talking and his kid falls backwards. And he's like 8 feet up, falling backwards. And as he is passing the cement slab, Gary's like, boom.
Caught him.
Grabs him right by his ankle. Picks him up. And we were all like, oh, shit. Now that's an athlete. Right. So we do this whole photo shoot with the car and everything. And he's like, oh, you want an autograph? And I was like, come on, what do you want? I was like, sign it to me. And he's like, no problem. And I get home and my Volvo was never as clean as today. Thanks, Paul.
That's dope. Made it real personal.
Yeah. So
That's
it's
awesome.
worthless. Nobody will ever buy that ball. But to me, it was Thursday.
Yeah.
Right.
It was a good Thursday.
That's dope, man.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So what do you tell all the aspiring people that want to do photography?
Yeah, like what are the tips? Like for entry level or you know?
Okay, so when I was coming up, you'd be an assistant. That's why I keep referring to lighting tech and everything. And that's how you learned and how you conducted yourself. And I would always say, this is it. Whoever I was working with was drive a cab. He's like, what? Drive a cab, better money, and you know you're working tomorrow. I was like, so every once in a while, I'll say that to somebody, like, drive a cab, and it's so bad. I try to talk to him, and but like I said before, it's a trade that is dying. You know, like, I mean, millennials, the attention span, something's got to move to keep them interested.
Right.
So still, I always used to say, I did a few weddings, and video started. And I would say, you really going to sit down 3-4 times a year and watch a 3-hour video? Or are you going to flip through your album? And they'd always, you're right, I want stills.
Yeah.
And we do an album. Now I think they'd sit and watch the video.
Yeah.
I think they look through the book.
And to me that sucks because it's like it's all about capturing that moment.
Well, that and the stories behind the photos was always nice. Hearing like your aunt tell the story and stuff, where the video, you're just watching the video and they're talking, which is beautiful.
Right.
But the narration of it and their interpretation of it, I always enjoyed.
That's dope.
You know, so I think the video just mixes that, you know.
Yeah, the video's telling the story.
Yeah.
Whereas like with the still, you're explaining it.
Yeah.
Yo, at this moment.
And you might polish it and you might leave something out.
Yeah, you can embellish a little bit.
Yeah, that's the beauty of it, I feel.
Shout out to all those people that embellish stories.
Right.
You know?
Create
You know you didn't do that shit. Right. You know you didn't do that shit. There's a picture that proves it. Yeah. That's why I was like, yo, look at the picture. You wasn't there.
Mm-hmm. Right.
That's so funny.
Awesome. Well, Paul, thank you, man. It is a pleasure having you come out tonight, man.
This was nice.
Your stories are everything. 30 years. Damn.
Yeah. Well, 30, 34.
30 plus, yeah. That's a lot.
Been all over the world.
All over the world.
Mm-hmm.
Some interesting stories.
Definitely.
Yeah.
That we won't share. But you're going to get a little bit today. You got a little bit. They got a little bit. That's fine.
Absolutely.
That's fine.
A little tease.
That's it. You know what that means? That means you got to come back.
Absolutely.
Because these people, they talk, they be like, yo, you got to bring Paul back.
For the remix, for the remix, part 2.
Okay.
All right, my peoples. I'd like to thank our special guest, Paul, for coming out. He's a master of his craft. And he catches that shot, baby. It's phenomenal. This is episode 101. We appreciate you. Dre.
I mean, shout out to Paul.
All day.
He's a silverback in your realm, in your forest. You got silverback.
I didn't say my silverback story. No.
What? You got one?
My silverback story, yeah.
Can we hear it real quick?
Yeah, come on.
Yeah, what happened? Let it go.
So, what was her name? Her name was Jane Goodall. She was Gorillas in the Mist.
Wow.
So they did Gorillas in the Mist.
That was a dope movie.
And after they filmed that, there was a scientist, Diane Doran, who took over and went back up there to live with the gorillas. So we go for the first 10 days of her beginning life on the mountain. And I actually sleep in Jane Goodall's hut.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. No running water or anything like that. And they're very superstitious. So nobody in the room that she was murdered in.
I'm sorry, wait a minute. Where are we?
We're in South Africa.
South Africa, okay.
Mount Visoki, I think it was. And so we're going up there every day, and we have porters that are carrying all the gear. These guys were phenomenal. I mean, we're slipping and sinking, losing boots, and these guys are jumping like gazelles from rock to rock. We're going up a mountain. So after 3-4 days, I start getting the hang of it, and I'm jumping, and the guy I'm with is slipping, and he's like, you know, you're supposed to be helping me. I'm like, oh, every man for himself. Just get up the mountain. You know?
Right.
So after 3-4 days, they're like, why don't you guys just stay? I'm like, well, where are we staying? Stay here. All right. So the next
Where's
day,
here?
in Diane,
In the hut.
In the mountains,
in her hut that she was murdered in.
Wow.
So, but they don't bring us in there. They just say that's where you'll sleep. Well, okay. So the next day, all our gear comes up with us, and we're gonna stay. So we got a little package of our own stuff. And they bring us in, and the floors, the roots from the trees would just grow underneath the house. And it wasn't a house; it was a little lean-to or a hut. And it'd be just a 2-foot root, and it would just buckle the floor. So they bring us in, and you know, there's a little fireplace and stuff, a big room, and then they open up the door to show me her room, which is like torn apart shit, because they never did anything. And he closes and he goes, you know, sleep here, you sleep there. I was like, okay, no problem. And in the morning, a guy would come in and he'd bring hot water, and he'd fill up this basin that was like 20-inch round, and you'd leave and you'd stand in it, and that was your bath.
Little bird bath.
And then you'd go out on the mountain and hang out with gorillas for like 8 hours. It was amazing. And they look at me, and I'm 6'2", and they're like, you gotta be real careful. You're big. Silverback sees you and you're higher than everybody else. He's gonna feel threatened. He's gonna come to you. I was like, really? Well, now there was a AC, a focus puller on the gorillas in the mist, and one of the silverbacks took a liking to him, grabbed him by the ankle, and took him about 100 yards into the woods and just dropped him. Didn't do anything, just dragged him there. And okay. And he had like nettle bushes and stuff, thorns. So he was a little messed up, but not hurt. So they tell me the story and everything. I'm like, all right. So we go out, and the silverback sees me, and I like cower down, and like rounded shoulder. I'm looking off the top of my eyes, and things are tremendous. And he makes his round, and he comes and sits right on my foot. And I'm like petrified. The next thing he's gonna do is grab my foot and drag me into the wood. And I hear,
fuck you.
And the scientists, there's like 5 or 6 of them, they're like, camera. And I have 2 cameras on my neck. And I'm like,
it's not gonna happen.
It was the camera. All right, and I unbuckle it, and I hand it, and it goes all the way around, and that guy takes a couple of photos. And I have a photo of a silverback sitting on my foot, and I'm in Africa, and I'm like, oh my God.
What? Wow.
Yeah, it was intense.
So what did he do? He just sat there?
Nothing.
Did he look at you?
Nothing.
Yo, he felt comfortable.
And then he just walked away.
Yo, that's the silver. He met another fellow silverback.
Yeah.
So he has
that's
the same trip. So we're gonna go stay on this mountain. It's myself, the photographer, and the writer. And the writer says, and every night there's like a buffet. And he goes, eat a lot of rice. Why? He goes, it'll bind you. Okay, so I eat some rice. What the hell's this mean? And we go up on the mountaintop, and the guy's talking to us, and he said, just be careful going out to use the bathroom at night. It's a little leaned outhouse. We had one fella, might have been sitting too long. He was reading a magazine, and he felt something hit his ass. And he stood up and put the flashlight in, and 2 bats flew out. Well, I'm not taking a shit. You know, like after that story,
I'm good.
So we were up there 4 days, 4 nights, 5 days. And I shut down. I never thought about going to Onion.
Yeah, it's not gonna happen.
Never thought about it. And we're in like a Range Rover, and there's no roads. It's bang, bang, bang. And I'm in the back getting bounced around. I'm good. No problems. 5 days, we're heading back to the hotel, and I swear, we came around a turn, and I like saw the flags on the hotel, and my bowels like, yo, we're ready.
We gotta go.
Yeah.
Game time.
One more bump and it's over.
I'm squirming in the back.
It's like when you put your keys, you know what I'm saying? When you put your keys in the door, it hits you a little harder.
It's like I'm gophering back here. We got to do something. So we make it to the hotel, and I'm like, I'm out. And I open the door.
Gone.
A little while later, I come down, everybody's in the room, they got all the gear up and everything. I was like, oh my God. You know, I started thinking about it. I haven't gone to the bathroom in 5 days. Everybody's, what? And I said, well, you told me to eat rice. I said, I didn't know what you meant by binding and all that.
Right.
I said, but I guess it bound me up. I said, and after the story with the bat, I wasn't going to the bathroom. They're like, you realize if that impacted in your intestines, where we are, there's no hospital. It's like a day and a half ride to get to a hospital.
Wow.
That was like the worst thing you could have done. I was like, no, it wasn't. Everything worked out fine for me.
Yeah, right? I don't want a bat kissing my ass.
How about that?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Everything shut down. I heard that story. I was like, no problem. You don't have to worry about me going in there.
You tread real lightly.
Yeah. But that was amazing. To sleep in her hut and all that stuff.
Wow.
Hey, when that silverback sat on your foot, was it heavy?
It wasn't like he lounged down.
He just sat next to you.
So I have dogs. I have labs. And that's one thing they do to show dominance that they own you. They'll sit on your foot.
Oh, so the silverback said, I own you.
Yeah, he said that.
That's what he was dominating me. I was the biggest guy in that crew. And he came and sat on my, like, you're not going anywhere, buddy.
What?
And I didn't go anywhere.
No. Picture him bucking up. Like looking at him like, yeah, and it had been curtains.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, this is my shit.
And just hunched over walking, he was probably as tall as me.
Huh?
What?
When he stood up,
Hunch over, he was 6'2".
He was probably like 5'8". He was right there. And then when he stood up,
When he
was
stood
definitely
up.
bigger than me.
Like what, 6'5", 6'8"?
Probably. Yeah.
And he looked at you.
No. He just sat on, he never looked, he never made, like, yeah, it wasn't any toe-to-toe going on. No, he just walked, sat, and just looked at everybody. And that's when they were like, where's the camera? Oh, probably get a photo, you want to see?
Hell yeah.
But nobody else can see it, that's the only problem.
And kept it moving.
That's so wild.
Yeah.
But you know what? You were so back in that photography industry.
Well, thank you.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was, somebody was saying something one day, and I was like, you know what? I think I have the picture in my hallway. I'll take a photo of it.
Wow.
It's just finding it's a story.
All right, my peoples. That's it. Episode 101.
Guess what? You ain't gonna see the story. That's it. You're gonna see the picture.
Yeah, it's all good.
We'll show it to them later.
That's it. Dre, what you got?
Peace and love.
Triple C.
Blessed are the peacemakers.
All right, my peoples. 101.
Thanks for having me.
No, thanks for coming.
Any
bro.
shout outs?
Yeah, anybody you want to shout out for?
My wife and kids.
Nice.
And you like that, huh?
Absolutely.
That's it.
Anybody else?
Shout out to that cranberry. Shout out to that cranberry goat.
Ah. That's a bad little car.
All right, my peoples. Be safe. Enjoy your weekend. See y'all next week.
Love y'all.
Love and peace and all that good stuff.
The views and opinions expressed on the Silverback podcast are those of the hosts, producers, and/or the persons appearing on the program, and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of the federal, state, or local government. This includes, but not exclusive to, the Department of Defense and/or the Baltimore City Police Department.
The Silverback Chronicles podcast with Dre, Big H, and Triple C. Hit the subscribe button, like and comment.